The Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood expansion has the game's community stirred up and talking more than they have been for some time. There hasn't been a shift in the meta so drastic since FF14 became a Realm Reborn, so it's no surprise that amidst the number crunching, rotation learning, and doomsaying, some of the bigger additions of patch 4.0 aren't being talked about as much. The phrase graphics don't matter is a truism for gamers, and it's a phrase that resonates well with FF14. This game is 4 years old, 7 if you're counting its initial disaster of a release, so it's a given that it's a little rough around the edges, but that doesn't mean it's not beautiful. Though lacking some of the realism you'll find in games like For Honor, it makes up for a lack of consistent depth of field and motion blur with top-notch aesthetic decisions. The new areas introduced with the Stormblood expansion are beyond epic, and they're further cementing FF14 as a legendary MMORPG and a legend within its own family of games. What's most exciting about this expansion are its cultural themes. I'm no expert, and I haven't been fortunate enough to leave the United States for travel in my lifetime, but when I walk around in Kugane, that almost doesn't matter. If not for the fact that this is only a digital paradise, I'd cross Japan off my list of places to visit before I die. But this painfully beautiful town isn't the only amazing area in Stormblood. The Alamegan zones are dry, deserted, desperate, desolate, and whatever other adjectives you can think of that emphasize dread. It's a stark contrast, but one that makes the overly beautiful hub of Kugane that much more striking. But the dread of Alamigo is juxtaposed with hope and resistance, and amidst the struggle and oppression, whenever the sun comes up, you'll have your breath taken away. Even the locks, a region that quickly became my least favorite because of its somewhat labyrinthian design, found a way to win me over. The tight rocky corridors gave way to an expansive desert with white sand and a few oases for the wildlife to explore. And the Queen's Garden, besides being dangerous for an unprepared adventurer, gave a spectacular view of everything. But the truth is, this beauty isn't exclusive to the new zones. Heaven's Ward expanded Kurthus and introduced us to Ishgard, a medieval-inspired land with a healthy supply of dragons. And the original 3 cities were a mixture of desert paradise, forest kingdom, and never-ending plains. And of course, there are a few places mixed in that break the mold and give reason to the fantasy in Final Fantasy. It's amazing, and as someone that's been immersed in this universe for 4 years with friends that I'd sooner call family, these places are coated with an extra layer of nostalgia. Not everyone that plays FF14 has a special connection with the Wanderer's Palace and Amdapor Keep. These were the first 2 endgame dungeons available for level 50 characters, and they were riddled with challenges and interesting mechanics. In fact, Amdapor Keep was so difficult for most players back then that I claimed I would never do my daily dungeon roulette for fear of getting stuck banging my head against the demon wall and his bees for the better part of an afternoon. It didn't matter how good the rewards were. Nowadays, most veteran players aren't intimidated by dungeons, but my point is, they left a lasting impression on me, and the same can be said for others for their first and many of their subsequent dungeon experiences. In patch 4.0, we don't have to deal with any demon walls, but we do have to contend with Yojimbo, a magical samurai with a dog that he uses to collect coins that enhance his ultimate ability. If it sounds strange, that's because it is, but that quirkiness is part of the joy of Final Fantasy, and you'll find it scattered throughout this expansion. And finally, the beauty of the environment bleeds into the combat gameplay. While not as weighted as the combat in a full-action MMO, the extravagant light shows we experience in FF14's battles are unmatched. And those light shows have been made even brighter with Stormblood. It's not often that a game can survive with a substantial following for so long. Final Fantasy XIV isn't just surviving, it's thriving, and it's making sure to stay in the spotlight of the ultra-competitive gaming scene of 2017. On that note, I'm pretty sure you already know by now the name of the game is Final Fantasy XIV. The name of the channel is iBluairJgR Gaming for Comedy. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment because it will make me feel really great about myself for about 2 hours. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.